Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1505A, and today's date is February 22nd, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The Transition to the New Economic System Has Already Begun. People don't know it yet. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with V and CJ. You can find it on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, or you can come over to x22report.com or newssentinel.com. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site, or go over to Steemit, steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we are already in the midst of transitioning into a new system. Now, a lot of people don't realize that this is actually happening. Just like they didn't realize that we were entering the age of the internet. No one really knew what it was. No one knew that the infrastructure was being built out. New technology was coming online, and people did not see the potential at that time of what it was really going to be. And then eventually everyone realized it, but those people that got in on the ground floor, they knew exactly what it was going to be. Now, think about all those individuals back then who started to purchase all these domain names. I mean, for like pennies on the dollar. I mean, they were worth, absolutely nothing at the time. And they purchased thousands of them. Thousands upon thousands of domain names. Because these individuals knew eventually what was going to happen. Companies, corporations, stores, people, bloggers, they were going to want those names. And they tried to think of the most common names used out there. They looked at different businesses, and they started to purchase them all up. And what happened as time went on, the internet evolved, and these corporations, bloggers, they wanted these names. And they would sell it to them for a huge profit. All right, you want this name? It's $10,000. I bought it for $1.50, but I own it now. You can have it for $10,000. Those corporations that had a lot more to spend, they sold it for a lot more. And these individuals made a killing, made a lot of money off the internet. The same thing is happening right now. A lot of people don't realize that we have entered a transitional phase. And everything that you see around you when you hear all these new cryptocurrencies being built, developed for a specific reason, there's a reason why this is happening. Now, just like the internet, a lot of the sites that we once knew completely disappeared because they were worthless. And those that stayed, those are the ones that stuck around and became maybe profitable, or people use them. Same thing with cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there. A lot of them are going to disappear. But a lot of them are going to stay because they're needed in this new transition. And that is what we are seeing right now. I'm going to be talking about this a little while later in the report, but let's get into the risk of pension funds. Now, back in the last financial crisis, we saw that there were pension funds that lost hundreds of billions during the last financial crisis. And right now, the pensions, there is a huge risk right now that they're going to be losing a lot more money. Why? Because a lot of them are in the stock market. They based their pension projections on an interest rates between 6 to 8%. Well, with ZIRP, they're not getting that. So they started to invest in the market. And we can see right now, as the market came down just a little bit, it hurt a lot of the pension funds. During the last crisis, a lot of pension funds disappeared. A lot of people lost their wealth. And we're going to see this again. Now, what they did going back in time is, this is about 30 or so years ago, state and local politicians and leaders of their public employee unions had a shared epiphany. If they offered workers hyper-generous pensions, they could buy labor peace without having to grant eye-popping, headlining-grabbing wage increases. And if they made unrealistically high assumptions about the returns, they could generate on pension plan assets they could keep required contributions nice and low, thus making both workers and taxpayers happy. The result, job security for the politicians and union leaders, and a false sense of affluence for workers and taxpayers. This scam worked beautifully for as long as it needed to, which is to say, until the architects of the overgenerous benefits and unrealistic assumptions retired rich and happy. But now, the unworkable math is coming to light, and pension funds are responding with two strategies. Roll the dice by loading up on equities, the most volatile asset class available, along with real estate, commodities, hedge funds, and private equity holdings. Number two, buy the dips. Stocks have been going up so steadily for so long that pension fund managers now see volatility as an investing opportunity. When the next downturn hits, they'll throw good money after bad, magnifying their losses. Now, eventually, a real bear market is going to hit. And this is when pensions completely fall apart. The pension machine comes to a screeching halt. And the several $1 trillion of obligations will migrate from state and local governments to Washington, which is to say, taxpayers in general, at a time when the federal debts are already soaring. And this time is quickly approaching. The system that we are in right now can no way be sustained. It's like a corporation that has a huge amount of debt, and a lot of corporations out there have a huge amount of debt. Retail stores have a huge amount of debt. And when they can't pay the debt, when they don't have the revenue coming in, and the debt is rising at a faster pace than the revenue coming in, and the revenue can't pay for the interest, even when the interest is brought down close to zero, there is a major problem, and that's where we're at right now. They know this in government. Trump knows this. The central bankers know this. Yes, to the everyday person, they come out on the corporate media. They make an announcement that everything is fine. Don't worry about it. I remember during the 2008 crisis when I went into the Bank of America, and the tellers were down there, and I asked the question at the time when we heard different banks having troubles, how's Bank of America doing? They're fine, right? Oh, we're solid. Nothing to worry about. Everything is fantastic. And then 2 weeks later, you find out, oh, they need a bailout. People really don't understand what is going on behind the scenes. And this is what we're doing right now. We're looking behind the scenes, and we're seeing that there are major problems headed our way. The system cannot continue on the way it is. It's completely impossible, and they already know this. So behind the scenes, they know it, but everyone out in the front, like those tellers, have no clue. They have no idea. And this is what is happening right now. We have two transitions coming up. One that the central bankers want. The other one is what the people want, and other governments who don't want to deal with the dollar. This is what they want. The transition, and I'm talking about the people transition and the central bank transition, it has already begun. I mean, the central bank transition has begun a long time ago when they started moving manufacturing, when they started to duplicate the systems out in China and Russia, when China and Russia were ramping up gold. The central bankers, that's where they wanted to set up shop. That was their plan. Have the manufacturing, have the gold, have the petro-yuan, have everything that was duplicated from the west to the east. 2008 crisis, we have cryptocurrencies. We see over a very, very short period of time, there is a lot of cryptocurrencies. There's like Salt, which allows you to lend just like a bank, but you don't need a bank. There's Litecoin, where Amazon, Facebook, and other corporations, they're looking to use this so people can use their cryptocurrencies to pay for merchandise. Employers are looking to pay individuals in cryptocurrency. And we're seeing right now that there's a lot of good cryptocurrency, especially the Ethereum platform, where a lot of it can be built on. We can see that there are countries now that have already started to create their own currency system outside of the banking system, outside of the dollar. What this means is that this transition is off and running. And it doesn't take that long. Yesterday we mentioned that Venezuela government, well, they created the cryptocurrency, the Petro. It is live right now. They already have people using it who want to use it. And now they're making another move. They're saying this time the government is going to back the cryptocurrency, not by oil, but by gold. And the reason they're doing this is to show the world that it is stable. You can have confidence in it. That's why you use gold. It's a confidence builder. The country or the entity that has the gold, they control the currency. And this is what we are seeing right now. The transition is already moving forward. A lot of people don't even realize that this is happening. It's going in two different directions. And the cryptocurrency market is going to pick up speed. You think it's moving quickly right now? Wait until the end of the year. The whole thing is going to completely change. Now, the central bankers at the same time, they're going to try to demonize this like there's no tomorrow. Just like they put out that fake article about $20 trillion of Bitcoin was issued because of a glitch. I mean, really think about what they're doing here. They're making it seem like it's not safe, it's volatile, criminals use it, terrorists use it. This is all being done on purpose because they realize how quickly the crypto market can overtake their system. And each country can do it on their own. And each country can support it on their own and issue it to the people very easily. Because pretty much almost every single person has some type of smartphone or some type of computer, and they can take this currency and use it very quickly. Retailers can adapt to this very, very quickly. Employers can pay people very, very quickly. You don't even need a bank. The employer, all they need to do is take the cryptocurrency, let's say it's Bitcoin, whatever it is, doesn't make a difference, and let's say the employer is ready to pay you. Well, they don't have to deposit that into your bank account. They don't have to take it and issue a check. All they need is your public address to your wallet. It could be an online wallet, a private wallet, and all they need to do is transfer the funds. The funds are then transferred within minutes. And all of a sudden it appears in your wallet. You already have your pay. That's how quickly it can happen. And the transition right now is moving very, very fast. And this is why the central bankers are getting very, very worried. And this is why you're seeing all the corporate media news stories come out. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to push people away from this. A lot of countries right now will be looking at Venezuela. They're going to watch them, see how the whole thing goes. And if it goes successfully, guess what's going to happen? Many more countries are going to jump on the bandwagon. At the same time, they're going to be dumping the dollar. So what happens when the dollar is dumped? When the dollar is dumped, that means they don't have to hold it in reserve. That means they're going to be using a different currency to allow other countries to pay for the oil, and they'll be using their cryptocurrency. Venezuela, for perfect example. I mean, next could be Syria, then Iran, then Libya, then Lebanon. And more of these countries, as they keep doing this, they're going to say, okay, wait a minute. I'm using their cryptocurrency to purchase the oil. Why don't we start our own cryptocurrency for our own country? Why are we using dollar or paper or anything like that? And they start developing their own cryptocurrency. It only takes a couple of months, then they have their own. And this is what's going to happen, and it's going to happen very, very quickly. Now, all those dollars, all these paper, electronic blips, guess what? They come back to the United States. And the United States then is flooded with this worthless paper blips that nobody wants. And as it comes back to the United States, there's a lot more dollars in circulation, which means the dollar loses value, which means it's much more difficult to purchase goods because you need a lot more dollars to pay for that that loaf of bread or to purchase oil. And then when everyone stops using the dollar and using cryptocurrency, the United States has a choice. Use cryptocurrency or not, or you're not going to get anything. The shelves will go bare, credit will freeze up, and here in the United States will be a very difficult time. That's if the central bankers stay in power and they don't go with the crypto system. Here in the United States, if we see a lot of other countries like the BRIC nations starting to move away from the dollar and start using the crypto system. And if the U.S. is the last country, because they don't want to give up their system, it's going to be very, very difficult. If the United States gets on board, then it's a completely different story. Yes, people are going to lose wealth because the dollar is going to be worth nothing. The new cryptocurrency, you're not going to get an even exchange. And there's going to be major problems. Now, if the central bankers get their way, it's a whole different story. They're going to bring down the system. They're going to have people lose a lot of their wealth. They don't care if there's riots. They don't care if people get hurt. They don't care about any of that stuff. As long as they're able to move their system, they don't even care if they start war. As long as they can move their system someplace else where there's gold to build confidence, there's manufacturing, and something is hooked to oil, like the petro-yuan. And we can see right now, we are in the transition phase. It has already begun. We're already moving forward at an accelerated rate, and it's going to pick up speed as we move forward. So you need to be ready and prepared for what is coming here. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.